The REST API connection in Izenda is by far the most versatile connector provided in the platform, as it allows connection to the widest range of potential data sources and services. This video will be a development guide for implementing Izenda's IAdHocExtension class to interact with a REST API endpoint configured in Izenda programmatically. If you have not watched the previous two REST API connector videos, please do so as they lay a solid foundation for this video. The IAdHocExtension class needs to be used when the REST API data connector needs its URL or request to be customized with either dynamic values or specific business rules. The IAdHoc class is a sandbox for various injections into Izenda's report generation lifecycle events. Specifically for this video, we'll be looking at the onPre-REST API request function in this class. For this example, we will leverage the same sample REST API service we've been using throughout these series of videos. The use case we'll implement for this video ensures that only a specific set of columns are returned when Africa is a data source returned from the endpoint. This service has an option to allow us to filter fields, and we're only trying to filter down to one specific field. To do this, we will create a new IAdHocExtension class. We'll name this IAdHocExtension class REST API IAdHocExtension. First, we need to reference it to the system library. This is called system.composition. We need it to use a specific version here, 1.0.31. Also, we need to make sure we reference the Izenda instance DLL called izenda.bi.framework.dll. Once we've done this, copy it to the solution folder and reference to it. We will name our class something like country field limiter extension. Now, the expected behavior, we will need to add two specific lines of code. First, we need to inherit the default IAdHocExtension class, and we need to add the export attribute for the whole class. Now, our class is ready for the customization logic. onPre-REST API request needs an override and has two input parameters. Request is the actual value we're customizing. For now, we'll just set the return line for this request. The request object contains a lot of information related to the current REST API request we're going to change. It will contain information about the connector and endpoint, query source name, report definition, and the user context. In our case, since we want to limit columns based on the query source name, we can run a check for the query source name. So our code will dictate if our user context query source name is Africa. Then we want to limit the set of columns. We can modify the URL using the actual syntax as follows. Now, our endpoint should only return name and capital. Now, to get this working in our deployment, we need to copy it across our Izenda API deployment folder and restart the deployment to bring across the DLL change. After restart, reconnect and our schema will have changed only for Africa. If we test this in the report designer, all data sources show the same column as before, but now Africa shows only two fields. This is because every query that goes to the REST API service is modifying the URL to only return two columns. This is a very simplistic use case to demonstrate the basic setup and administration of the more advanced features in Izenda's REST API service connector. For more information or for a deeper dive into this functionality, please reach out at www.izenda.com.